Thank you, Amber. This is one of our add-ons for the Acumatica suite collections management, one of ours from Crestwood Associates. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to start off looking at the dashboard that's delivered with it out of the box. We're going to get into some of the key working areas, screens, if you will, of the system, how to work collections with this add-on. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of setup and kind of administrative behind the scenes configuration for the add-on as well. So with that started, I'm in a demo environment right now. I'm gonna go to the home state and have my ID defaulting to show the collections dashboard upon login here. Every section of this, like my collector invoices, open collection activities, top overdue balances, they're called widgets, and all these widgets make up, collectively or make up the dashboard here. The values that are in these widgets are drillable. So we see for some, this invoice listing for collectors, can drill down into the invoice link here for one of them for customer ABC Studios. And we get right into the individual transaction details for that listing. That's a standard Acumatica functionality to be able to drill down into individual transactions like that. The same can be said for all these other widgets here. Can do the same also in a graph. So we have these top overdue balances, basically like the top 10 list of the worst overdue balances for customers. So we're going to look at the least of the worst here, shortstop sports, drill down into the bar of that graph. And we can see here for this customer, they have 340,000 and change overdue. And of that amount, we see that 83,000 plus of it is in the 60 to 90 overdue day range, and the rest of it is overdue by over 90 days. So just showing a little bit of the drill down functionality within the dashboard. Again, that's standard across all Acumatica dashboards. What's also standard, but I like to show this off too, is be able to what I consider kind of like refocusing or zooming in on a chart. So here, this top overdue balances widget, we see there are 10 bars here, like it's a top 10 list, but there's so much information here, it can only show like 5 of the customer names. So let's say we're in here as a collector or a collections manager and wanted to see like the top 4. We can actually shade those top 4 bars. And then now we see the names of all 4 of them and on what the amounts are for each of them. So again, another standard function of dashboard widgets. Now it can refresh back to its original state. So that's a little bit on the dashboard that comes with this add-on. I'm going to move into a couple of good working screens of the system. One is we're going to start with an activity list. Here we have a number of activities listed at the top, and is kind of, if I select select one or go to another, you can see that this bottom section called documents tied to activity, it changes. So any documents that are tied to that activity are listed below here. We can also can't get enough of drilling down, and we can drill into those again, and get right into the transaction details. There's a lot of ties to the invoices that are associated activities and vice versa. So here in this upper section, we see, okay, we have a collections phone call task, and we see the 2 documents tied below here. We also see that in the detail, the invoice IDs separated by a comma. So that's basically showing activity to task, activity to document relationships here. We have a status of open and complete for these activities. So we can go ahead and complete an activity from here. There's a couple of ways of going about that. One is we can just mark the activity as complete here, and I can do that, and simply put the status just changed from open to complete. We can look at also in this activity section, we can go into some different subviews. What these are called like subfilters. So we kind of scrolled through these activities. We see that we have a collections phone call activity type, a collections task activity type, a collections email activity type. So we can create subfolders. Say, I just want to see what my collection, what the collection tasks are. So we've created this task activity subfilter, and they're all the same type, collections task. We can see the definition of that by clicking this funnel. That's where we define our filters, and it's like SQL. Setting a field where a field equals a particular value, so the collection type or activity type field equals collections task. Another subfilter that I understand is in pretty good use with customers that have purchased the add-on. My open activities, so look at any activities where I'm the owner, I'm logged in as the admin, so this is my ID, and any activities that have my ID stamped onto it, that show on that list. These filters are fairly easy to create as well. So I can come in here, go back to that funnel icon for filter definitions, create a new one. And again, this is like SQL. So I'm going to say, all right, pick the activity type and where that equals collections phone call. Save that, give it a name. We have a subfilter here called task activities. So I'm going to follow the same nomenclature and pick phone activities. Spell it right. There we go. Apply that, and there's a new subfilter. So you can see if phone activities is a title I gave it, and the type is the same for all of them across the board. That said, we can go. Also want to go into an edit mode of an activity as well. So here we have like a phone call. It says follow up with ABC Studios on Monday. And just like we have on, let me come back here. So we see an activity with a single invoice, and the invoice appears below here in the documents tied to activity section. Likewise, when we're editing our activity, we have this related docs subtab. So while you're working in this additional window, not losing sight of what is tied to this activity. So I can come in here and make an edit. Say, follow up again on 10:30. I can save that, and I can say, I'm done with it. So there's a couple different options here. One is to just mark it as complete. But by the nature of the comment, you see like, hey, there's going to be like yet another activity, do yet another follow-up. So we have this other option here to say complete and follow-up. So when we select that, create this brand new activity, follow up on Monday. We got to follow up again, and we've basically created a brand new task for follow-up. From that point on, I can say, set a new date. Save and close that. And there we've gotten our new activity created that we can follow up on. So that's a bit of the work on the working area of activities. So we have a list of the activities, their status, their open or complete, the documents that are tied to them that we can drill down into, and then we go into edit mode by selecting one of them. and either completing it or completing it with a follow-up task. Okay. The next screen that's a good working area is the collections management screen. I like to look at consider this like it's kind of like a customer collections dashboard. So what we do is we select an individual customer and then see related details to it. So here it's almost like a vice versa. We had activities at the top in the last screen with documents tied to it down below. This is the opposite in the sense of where you have the documents and any activities associated to it. So we have some closed documents here. Look at some open status and kind of scrolling through a bit and seeing like hey, there's a lot of closed status. So another way we can filter is just by this standard Acumatica functionality as well. Is selecting the column header and say, you know what, I'm going to clear. I don't want any status of any documents except for those that are open. And so here we have some open documents. We can see this open document doesn't have any activities associated to it. This does, and this does, and has one of the same and one that's all its own, separate activity associated to it. So in the speaking of which, this is set up to show the related activities to the individual documents that are being selected up above here. We do have this toggle option to say, instead of having it behave that way for this customer, I want to see all activities that are associated to it, and we can select that, turn that on, turn that off, just like a light switch. But here, what we can do is work on creating an activity. So I'm going to select this invoice and then come down here. And again, these are our 4 different activity types: a note, phone, task, and email. I'm going to create an email task. And I'm going to say, well, actually, I'm going to take that back. We have, for emails, we have the ability to create email templates and make those our defaults for creating the subject and the body of the email. So this is, again, standard Acumatica functionality that we're using in the collections management module. So I know we have a couple collections templates. I'm going to select one of them. And the reason I stopped myself from typing in a subject is because this template adds that invoice is coming due soon. So here's the body of the email: Dear AP, please note that the following invoices are coming due soon. And then it actually lists all the open. Does a query to the system and lists all the individual invoices, due dates, and amounts. So those all come in automatically through the template. I'm going to select a contact for this customer, and that's going to put the customer put that contact's email in the to section. I'm just going to, for the heck of it, put my email in here as a blank carbon copy, and then I'll save and close it. And there's our brand new activity, invoice coming due soon, email being sent out. So that's basically how to work with the collections management screen. Again, look at it as an individual customer dashboard for any and all things that are collections related for that customer, working the documents up above and working the activities that are associated to it down below. And those are really like the key areas of working, of how to work activities from an activity list view and also from a individual customer view, and to provide your collections team or an individual that's responsible for collections the functionality to tie everything together, customer to activity to document. Then we're going to go into a little bit of the setup for this system. So we're going to go into collections plan maintenance. And in here we've got a couple of templates for collections plans. So I'm going to select, got one called good customer, one called bad customer. I'm going to start with the good customer go through a little bit of the details of this. So, we have a good customer plan. We describe it as good customer, and there's this plan minimum value. So basically, we're creating this template for collections plans to say, anything under $100 we want to ignore. We don't want to have to process it through any collections process whatsoever. And then each of these steps is pretty much like, think of it as like almost like a bucket of time in and of itself, and what to do with the bucket of time for invoices. So any invoices in this first step that are coming up due within 15 days, going back 15 days to zero, we're saying we're going to send them a nice email that these invoices are coming up due. Then, and again, remember, this is a good customer plan. For any invoices that are overdue from 1 to 59 days, we're going to queue up a phone call. Any invoices that are overdue 60 to 90 days, we're going to send another email and do the same thing. If any invoices are 91 days to 120 days or 120 days to 900 days, we're going to send emails, and that's as far as we're going to take our collections activities, is basically sending an initial email, making a phone call in the first 60 days, or first 59 days rather, and then sending emails every month thereafter. By contrast, we can look at the bad customer plan. So for customers tagged with this plan, we're saying we want to put almost everything through the collections process. Anything that's $10 and up, we want to make a generate collections activities and follow up on them. So this first bucket is, showing that any invoices coming up due within 15 days or overdue 30 days, start off with a phone call. Do the same thing for invoices that are outstanding 31 to 90 days. Make another phone call for the next 30-day bucket. Those that are overdue 91 to 120 days, send another email, and then if their invoices are over 4 months overdue, then make a task and to escalate the issue to management. So you can see a little bit of the contrast between the good customer template associated with customers assume they're good, and the bad customer template that they aren't. So a little bit of a difference there. Also, a couple of different parameters here, as well as the grace period and the follow-up days parameter. So this grace period, basically what we do is we take this template and we generate an instance of it. So if we did that every single day, and then we queued up, that would queue up like a phone call every single day. We're going to say, we're not going to inundate the customer with a daily phone call just because we're generating a collection plan every day for it. We'll we could put it in like a number five here, and say, let's space out those phone calls, once every 5 days. So that's the power of the grace period parameter here. The follow-up days, that's basically the number of days that are tacked onto the system date to make the due date of the activity. So I want to go back to the activity list here. I'm going to leave that. Just open up any activity. So let's say that a collection plan was created on February 28th, and then the follow-up days parameter for the plan at the time was set for 10. So we set the due date to March 10th. That's the power of that follow-up days parameter. Let me pull that back up again. Back on the collection plan. So now we got these two different collection plans set up, and what we do is then we actually execute them through a process called run collection plans, and it's a two-step process. So we would select one of the plans. Let's say select a good customer plan, and the first step is calculate a plan. This is going to show like any activity that would be queued up to actually be created if we move on to the second step of actually executing the plan. So select hit the calculate plan button, and here we see for a number of customers a bunch of email activity types that are being a bunch of emails that are being would be generated, and then a phone call for this particular customer as well. So we calculate the plan. We see that these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 activities would be queued up. We can save that and get it. It's kind of like an instance number, plan reference number generated from that. So this is almost like a draft of activities to be made. Should we want to make them? We could just delete this out altogether, or we can execute the plan, which we're doing right now, and then that will create. That will actually create the activities in the system based on those plan templates that we just looked at. Good, and that's it. So that's how easily the collections plans can be used to generate activities based on those values that we just looked at. And just to kind of bring it home, when I look at this collections customer maintenance screen, and this is plain and simple how we tie those plans together. So we have the good customer plan associated to a lot of different customers, and we see some customers like Crabtree associated to the bad customer plan. So that's how we tie the association of collections plans to the customers, generate off of those collections plans those activities that then upon executing the plan get created to for the collections team to follow up on. And lastly, I'm going to go to the one more section. One other process that we got here is a close process. So this is we can click process all to close all activities that are listed here, with a caveat that there's no balance left, or we can selectively choose which activities that we want to close out. So this collections, let me take that back. Yeah, this collections phone task or activity that had a 0 balance, and when we selected the 0 goes away. And then this one actually this task actually had an amount of 1,098. So we can just selectively close those two tasks, and it will show, okay, I've gone ahead and done that. And now I'm going to refresh the screen here. Actually, I'm going to go back into it. And so what reason I did that was I wanted to show that there's a stopgap in a sense of not being able to close activities by the press of a button, which could be by accident for invoices that have outstanding balances. So we had one invoice that had nothing more to collect, and we had another one, this one at the bottom, that we selected, said, hey, we want to close both those activities. It prevented closing this activity with a balance out, but it closed out the activity that had nothing more to collect on. So that's what I wanted to show, that we do think about accidentally hitting buttons and put a control in there to prevent that from happening. But this gives a good way to basically look at all the activities and be able to process through in a batch, closing out all those that have nothing more to collect. There's no more to be gained by it. And that's really everything we've got to cover today. A little bit of a short one. I know we had a full hour. I know we got a little time here for Q&A, but hope that shows some good functionality that you can potentially use at your workplace. And thank you for your time today.